Otrera invents the Amazons with free 2-day shipping. We don't know much about Otrera from the old stories. Those ancient Greek dudes didn't care where Otrera came from or what made her tick. Why could that be? She was a woman. She was a scary woman. She was a woman who killed ancient Greek dudes. Originally, she lived in the northern lands around the Black Sea, the same general area that would later produce the great humanitarians like Attila the Hun. Who were Otrera's people? We don't know. That's probably because she killed them all. We just know that at some point she decided her life as a Bronze Age housewife sucked. She decided to do something about it. Maybe you're wondering, what would make an average lady go crazy, kill all the men of her tribe, and found a nation of homicidal women? Did I mention that being a Bronze Age housewife sucked? If you were a woman back then, this was your best case scenario. You might be born in Sparta. Anytime Sparta is your best case scenario, you were truly stranded up Poop Creek without a paddle. At least in Sparta, women could own property. They were respected as the mothers of warriors. Young girls could serve as acolytes in the temple of Artemis, and to please the goddess, help with the male human sacrifices so their blood stained the altar. For more details, see Spartans, complete freakazoids. If you were born female in Athens, the cradle of democracy, you were almost as badly treated as a slave. And yeah, they had slaves. You couldn't own property, you couldn't vote in the assembly, you couldn't run a business, you weren't even supposed to go to the agora, the community market and outdoor mall, though a lot of women did anyway, because, the lemon chicken at the food court was pretty tasty. Basically, women couldn't do anything except stay home, cook food, clean the house, and look pretty, preferably at all the same time. Now me, being an awesome modern demigod dude, I can do that all easily, but not everybody can pull it off. My girlfriend Annabeth is reading this over my shoulder and laughing. Why are you laughing? 18-year women couldn't even choose who they married. That was true for most women back then. When you were a child, your parents were your guardians. Read, your dad was your guardian, because your mom was just there to teach you how to cook and clean and look pretty. Your father made all your decisions for you. Oh, you don't like his decisions? Well, your options are getting beaten, killed, or sold into slavery. Take your time choosing. Once you were old enough to marry, and by that I mean like 12 or 13, your dad would pick your husband for you. The lucky guy might be older, he might be ugly, he might be fat, but don't worry. Your dad would make sure your husband had the proper social standing so it would reflect well on your dad's reputation. Your dad would pay your husband a dowry, a price for taking you. In exchange, your husband would be your dad's ally in his political and business dealings. So while you're at home cooking and looking pretty for your old, ugly, fat husband, you can take comfort in knowing it was the best match for all your father's interests. As a married woman, your husband became your guardian. He made all the decisions for you, like your dad used to do. Oh, you don't like his decisions? See your options for punishment above. Starting to feel like a homicidal woman yet? Then maybe you can understand what motivated Otrera, because the stuff I just described for Athens and Sparta, in the northern lands where Otrera was born, life was harsher and conditions for women were 10 times worse. When Otrera snapped, she snapped in a big way. Ever since she was a kid, Otrera's favorite gods were Artemis and Ares. Artemis was the protector of young maidens, so that makes sense. Artemis didn't need no sneaking man to take care of her, which appealed to Otrera. If her people were anything like the Spartans, I bet when Otrera was young, she served as a junior priestess for Artemis. I can totally see her whipping human sacrifice guys until they bled all over the altar. Hey, she would have thought, this whipping men and making them bleed, this is fun. Otrera didn't want to become a full-time follower of Artemis, though. That would have meant swearing off men forever. Nuh-uh. Otrera liked the guys when they weren't ordering her around. Later, she would have plenty of boyfriends. She even gave birth to a couple of daughters. More on that in a sec. Her favorite other god was Ares, the war dude. Like a god like Ares made sense to Otrera. She lived in a harsh country. Life was brutal. You want something, you kill for it. You get angry, you punch someone in the face. Simple, direct, bloody fun. Like most places back then, Otrera's town was controlled by men. Women had no rights. They definitely weren't allowed to fight. But at some point, Otrera got frustrated being her husband's laundress, cook, floor scrubber, eye candy. She decided to teach herself self-defense just in case. Well, in case she needed it someday. At night she sneaked off into the woods with her husband's sword and bow. She taught herself to spar by hacking at trees, imitating the moves she'd seen the young male soldiers use. She taught herself to shoot until she could take down a wild animal in the dark at 200 yards. Once Otrera felt confident in her abilities, she sought out other townswomen who were just as frustrated as she was. They were tired of their old, smelly, fat husbands telling them what to do, beating them or killing them or selling them into slavery if they complained. Otrera secretly began teaching her friends how to fight in the woods at night. They learned the hunting skills of Artemis, but they also prayed to Ares for strength and courage in battle. Worshipping both gods together was an unusual mix. Like Artemis tells us men are stupid brutes. Therefore, let us worship Ares, the stupidest manly brute of all. But the combo was effective. Otrera and her followers soon became vicious and fearless. For a while, they pretended everything was normal at home. Then one day, something happened that made Otrera go nuclear. I don't know what. Maybe her husband ordered her to get him a beer from the fridge one too many times. Maybe he yelled at her for not being pretty enough while she was scrubbing the floor. Otrera calmly retrieved her husband's sword from the closet. She hid the blade behind her skirts and walked over to where her husband was sitting. I want a divorce, she said. Her husband belched. You can't have a divorce. I make all the decisions for you. You belong to me. Also, nobody has invented divorce yet. I just did. Otrera whipped out the sword and cut off her husband's head. He never asked her for another beer, but he did get blood all over the floor that Otrera had just finished mopping. She hated it when that happened. Her sword in hand, Otrera stepped outside her hut. She made a cawing sound like a raven, the sacred bird of Ares. Her followers heard the signal. They retrieved their swords and daggers and meat cleavers, and being a man suddenly became the most dangerous occupation in town. Most of the males were either killed or put in chains. A few lucky ones escaped. They ran to the nearest town and explained what had happened. You can imagine how that conversation went. My wife pulled a sword on me. And you ran away? She was crazy. The ladies killed everyone. Your housewives killed all your best warriors? What kind of men are you? We'll go teach them a lesson. The guys from the neighboring town marched to Otrera's village, but they didn't take the expedition very seriously. After all, they were going to fight women. They figured they'd walk in, administer a few spankings, have a few beers, then take the prettiest women as slaves and go home. It didn't work out that way. Otrera had set tripwires and snares along the roads. She'd built a barricade at the gates, fully manned or womaned by her best archers and sword fighters. The guys showed up. Otrera's followers slaughtered them. Otrera marched to the neighboring town. She liberated the women, recruiting those who wanted to join her, and letting the rest go free. The remaining men she killed or enslaved. A few terrified survivors fled to nearby villages, spreading the word about the crazy woman Otrera and her band of merry murderesses. The next townsmen tried to stop her. Her warriors slaughtered them. Rinse and repeat. Soon Otrera found herself in control of a dozen towns, with a fledgling army of vicious women ready to follow her to glory. They were highly motivated to fight, because if they ever lost, their male enemies would have no mercy. The women wouldn't be treated as prisoners of war. They'd be beaten, sold as slaves, and then killed. The whole trifecta. Otrera was still learning how to organize her troops when the menfolk of the neighboring cities started to take her seriously. The men mustered an actual no-nonsense army, thousands of hardened veterans with real weapons and no illusions about beer and spankings. Otrera's scout warned her what was up. "We need more time," Otrera said. "We haven't trained our women properly. Besides, this city is harsh and barren, and it really sucks. It's not worth defending. Let's migrate to a richer land and carve out our own queendom." That sounded a lot better to her followers than an all-out war they might not win. The entire tribe of warrior women, along with their slaves and captured loot, their children and their barnyard animals and their favorite knickknacks, migrated to the other side of the Black Sea, so to the northern coast of what is now Turkey. Glory awaited them. Also a whole lot of blood and some flesh-eating birds.